Hey guys, this is Milo back with another video, and today I'm going to be restoring a vintage hatchet. This is a True Temper Tommy axe, and it originally came with claws on the back of it for prying nails, but I actually removed those claws because one of them was slightly cracked. As you can see, I'm already fitting a handle. This is from Beaver Tooth Handle Company, and this handle is really awesome. It's the perfect thickness in my opinion for a straight hatchet handle. It's made of hickory and it also has perfect grain orientation without any run out. As you can see, it also has a slightly waxy finish because as I rasp, you can see like the natural color of the wood. And I'm actually putting my soft jaws into my vise, and that makes it so I don't end up scratching and messing up my axe head when putting it into the vise. And this is a chainsaw file, and I will be chamfering the lower part of the eye for the hatchet, and that makes it so the head compresses into the grain when fitting the head instead of digging into the grain, which actually causes a ninja shelf. And ninja shelves are really bad because it can actually split the entire handle, so that's a great thing to avoid by making the handle about the same thickness of the eye. And I am fitting the head right now. It's going on really straight. Usually I look down the handle to make sure it's going on straight, and then also look at the sides, because if the eye is warped, then the head can actually tilt a certain direction, and that's definitely not ideal. And right now I'm marking where the head is seated. I'm going to hang it slightly above the shoulders so that if the wedge does work its way out, or if somebody wants to reuse this handle, then they can. And then also I need to figure out where the head is so that I can measure the depth of my wedge. So now I am removing the handle, and also the handle is proud, so I mark the top of it too. And then I mark 2/3 of the way down the handle, and I don't do this exact, I just measure with my fingers, and then I take my nice Japanese saw and then I bring it down a bit. Another important thing is that you want your wedge to fill that entire curve, and if your wedge is too thick or too thin, then it's not going to fit properly. So you kind of want to eyeball how much room there is in the eye and then choose a wedge that will fill that amount but not be too thick to where it doesn't go far enough into the curve. It's also really annoying to make your own wedges because you need to set up like your own jig for sawing them. I actually recommend buying from whiskeyrivertrading.com. They're a company that sells wedges for about $1 each, and I think that's a really great price, especially since they sell exotic wedges too. And right now I just fitted the handle for the last time before I hang it, and I actually am going to saw off the top of the handle, and that's so my wedge doesn't have to go through all that excess room. I am going to keep it proud, I'm not going to keep it flush, and that's so that the head locks onto the handle tighter. It kind of creates a mushroom expanding effect, and that's actually really desirable. Also, the type of wood you use for your wedge is really debated. Some people say softwood, some people say hardwood. The theory that explains it the best is that you want to use a hardwood wedge for a softwood handle like birch, and then use a softwood wedge for a hardwood handle like hickory. I'm actually using black walnut, which is a pretty brittle hardwood, and I'm using this on hickory, but I've done this with several axes, and I haven't had a single issue, so from my experience, it's perfectly fine. Also, the black walnut provides great contrast with the white hickory, and it looks absolutely amazing in my opinion. So I did put wood glue on the wedge because I will be selling this hatchet on my Etsy. If you guys want to buy it, then the link is in the description below. I'm selling it with a nice sheath, and it's going to be $150-ish. And I'm guessing the person that wants to buy this axe will not be replacing the wedge anytime soon, and the wood glue really just bonds it onto the handle well. If I restored my own axe, then I would use linseed oil instead of wood glue, just because you can remove the wedge when you want to and put it lower on the shoulder. This is all mostly personal preference though, and also you can see I'm sanding and rasping the wedge, and that's just so it looks a bit better. I usually chamfer the edges, but I made this not too proud since it's a hatchet, and if it bites too deep or if you're splitting wood and it goes straight through the wood, then the wedge can get damaged, so there is a pretty good in-between kind of middle ground that you want to achieve. And I'm actually going to sand the waxy finish off of this handle just because I removed wood on the shoulders lower down, and if I only oiled that area, then it would look a bit inconsistent, so I'd like to keep everything uniform. And now that I'm done sanding the handle, I'm going to blue the head, and that's so everything looks really nice with a patina. As you can see, I did grind back towards the cheeks, and I really didn't want to polish it, but I also wasn't a big fan of that look, so bluing this will cover that area, and it'll blend it in with the rest of the patina on the head. Also, I grinded the claws off of the back of the hatchet, and I grinded the pole down a bit, so this will make everything the same color and a bit more uniform. And that's pretty nice. Also, I'm not oiling the handle yet just because I know I'm going to get the gun blue on the handle. So I'm going to save the final stages towards the end. Honestly, I probably should have blued the head before I put it onto the handle, but this was just kind of like a last minute decision. And I am happy that I decided to do this. It did take like an extra 20 minutes because you need to degrease the head before you blue it. And you also want to do this within a few stages so that the blue gets darker and it just looks a lot more even than if you did one coating. And now I'm done with that, so I'm just going to do the last minute filing for the head since I didn't actually completely sharpen it yet. I'm going to be very consistent with my angle because if I do make it a little bit wider on one side, then you will see that imperfection, and I want this to be perfect. Another cool thing is that the blue actually shows me where I'm taking material off and the bevel that I'm setting, so that is kind of nice to see, I guess. Also, I'm using an 8-inch Mill Bastard file made by Baco, and you only want to do push strokes because you will dull the file if you pull it towards you. And the file actually leaves a pretty coarse cut to it, and it makes the edge not really last that long, so you want to use your grinding stone, and that will kind of buff and even everything out on a microscopic level, and that will actually make the axe head stay sharper for a longer period of time. Also, another thing to keep in mind is that the goal of sharpening is to remove the wire edge, and you can actually feel that with your hand. So the last stage that I'm going to do is stropping, and this leaves the axe razor sharp, and it really is worth it. It doesn't take long to strap it, and this leather does leave like a nice polished finish. And I sanded the handle once over again just because I had some blue on the handle that I didn't really like the look of, and now it's time to just oil the entire handle. I'm using Danish oil right now, but I honestly prefer linseed oil. I haven't really gotten to experience the difference, but I do know that Watco dries faster than linseed oil, but that's partially because they add heavy metals in it to make it dry faster. Boiled linseed oil actually has that too. The linseed oil isn't boiled, they just add drying like additives to it. I don't know which one dries faster, honestly, but they both seal the grain and keeps it hydrophobic, so that's really what matters. And this is what the handle looks like, or the whole hatchet. If you guys enjoy this video, then please feel free to like and subscribe. And if you want to buy the tools that I use, then you can check my Amazon link down below, or you can buy this hatchet on Etsy and it can be yours. So I'll see you guys later.